Welcome to Pier's Future of the Industry series. This is where we discuss innovation, technology, sustainability, and travel. We host industry leaders, entrepreneurs, business owners, and experts of the maritime industry from all around the world. Pier provides technological and sustainable solutions to optimize marine operations and to make the sailing experience for boaters easier and more accessible. I am your host, Shlomi Singer. Today we are hosting Yiannis Kalogerakis. This guy does it all.
Yanni, it's great to have you. Thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure.
So how are you spending your time right now with the lockdown, COVID-19? Where are you located?
Well, working, laughing, dancing, eating, and putting on weight, and just enjoying life.
That's the best way to do it right now. So one of the reasons why I really wanted to have you do this interview is because first of all, I know a lot about you. I read a lot of things online, and I saw your website, and you seem to be very engaged, especially with millennials and the future of the maritime industry and where are we currently going. So I'd love, if you could share some of your thoughts, some insights, and let's get to it.
Yes, great. Okay, that's excellent. So let me introduce myself for those who don't know me. Back in October 18 at ICOMIA, I talked about putting people first, because my job is training people. So putting people first and training marinas, people in the marina, the anthropocentric way. Well, that's when I met Eden. And it was a great pleasure because we had great talks, and I realized that Pier is involved in promoting sustainable green, blue environmental practices. And this is something very close to my heart. So I'm so pleased we're talking about it now. Now, in February last year in Dubai, I talked about how to do leadership for the marina managers. And this January in Boot, in the Economist Conference in Düsseldorf, I talk about sailing and yachting, the cultural, practical, and economical impact on people's lives. It was a great venue there, Boot, every year. And this March, I was supposed to speak in Dubai about millennials and how they influence the market, but it has been postponed to November. So now, I'm a naval architect and a marine engineer. I worked in UK in shipyard. I have seagoing experience. I run a JMK Group right now that I do anthropocentric training all over the world. I'm visiting a professor at various universities and academies. And I talk, as you know, a lot about millennials and what can we make of it? How can we help them? Mm-hmm. See, a lot of people say to me, what is this generation X, Y, Z and all that? Well, the US Department of Commerce came up with some dates. So everybody's using different dates. I'm going to stick with them. So Generation Y or millennials are those born between 1980 and 2000. After 2000 to 2020 is Generation Z. So why are these generations important? Well, it's so simple. It's because they influence greatly the purchasing decisions and all decisions, may I say, of all other generations. Every research that has been done on these two generations, especially millennials, always conclude to the same thing, that millennials demand ethical, sustainable, ecological, anthropocentric business practices. The word anthropocentric is not used actually, just the first three words, but this is what it is implied. If they look up at dictionaries and Protagoras and Wikipedia, everybody can find out what anthropocentric is. Mean putting the human being in the center of it all. Yep. Now, business sustainability, which is our job now, is responsible, ethical, and ongoing success for businesses. Absolutely, you will agree with me. Now, you this is our beloved friend, Oscar. And Oscar is an icon in this industry because he has been fighting all along, talking to people how to behave in an anthropocentric way. Love you, Oscar, for it. So Oscar has been saying that marinas should be communities. Mm-hmm. Of course. Last year in Dubai, I said marinas should be aquariums. And then I said, but you cannot order the fish in. you can inspire your people to keep it clean and behave in a way that they attract everything else. So Oscar goes on to explain that people make the marina, not boats. This is a turnaround in the mentality of most people around the world. People think that a port and a marina and the sea is with boats, or it is polluted by. It is people who do all the damage. It's people who make the marina. It's people who make the success or the failure. And in fact, if anyone cares to research, they will see how millennials, how important they are. And also they're making up new startups like yours. And they're looking into the future greatly, all millennials. So what I'm here to say is that right now we're writing history, we're making history. History has always been written by people like you and Oscar who have passion. And since many, many thousand years ago, now we've come to millennials. So don't be confused by their smiles and selfies and all that, because you are writing history, my friend. This is unacceptable. It is absolutely unacceptable. Ian said in an interview I read recently that Greta became the voice of a generation that is demanding to take action regarding climate change. And in fact, Time published an amazing article saying that some of the sayings of Greta, we cannot just continue living until there is no tomorrow, because there is tomorrow, and she implied, and we're going to live on it. And of course, we can see BBC coming up with stories how the air is now cleaner in India. I mean, you can see the picture before and after coronavirus. The air is cleaner now. Fish come back into Malaysian canals. And in fact, I had to make sure that this was a genuine picture, and it is genuine. And ABC News says that they filmed Venice with fish and swans, dolphins. This is an indicator. And China, of course, is ahead.
People can see the sky and see the stars in China.
Absolutely, absolutely. And China is also realizing this. And they're having projects for clean ports and clean shipping, exactly what we were talking about in UK. Let's go back to Oscar. Oscar says people make pollution. And he's so right. People make pollution. This is a recent picture of someone feeling sorry about the pollution.
Masks. But those are the masks as well.
Exactly. Now, how millennials influence green and blue change is our subject. Well, let me tell you, Greta came back in Time magazine with a cover saying, by being the next generation leaders. And this is what it's all about. You see, a person can have a growth mindset, and millennials and Z, they do have it, or they can have a fixed mindset, like a lot of other people. The question is, what kind of mindset do we have? Do you have? This is our concern.
Well, what would you say the difference was between a growth and a fixed one?
Open mind, willing to adapt to change and get an improvement.
And also leader change. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the fixed and the closed mindset is, let's do it the old way that we're used to. So we have to move forward. Right now, we can actually stop or not the greatest environmental damage in Earth's history. If you go on and look at on this, Europe, the United States, China, everybody is publishing agendas on how to move on and what to do about it. So, over and above millennials' demands and likes, there is the promotion of social sustainability. This was not present before, which is directly affecting the economic sustainability of this industry. So over and above the likes and the demands of what they want is this sustainability. You see, all systems in nature evolve and survive because of the sun. Now, all social systems evolve and survive and thrive because of juice and meaning. Meaning, this is what Simone Sinek, the anthropologist, has been talking about for so long. It's not the what you do, it's the why. Why you do something. And if the why is big, in the future, you'll be not only happy and have a future, but he claims you can also make money. So it's a different mindset from now on that we need. So how millennials influence the green and blue change? By being very, number one, socially conscious. You see, in the past, people were selfish. Number two, health conscious. Well, now everybody's awakened to this. You have to be health conscious. It's not something that affects another country, this virus or this disease. It's something we should be very careful about, how we treat our animals. Number three, they are very well educated and knowledgeable. The internet is to blame, the parents are to blame, the education, you are to blame, but this is it. It never before in the history of Earth, people had so much information and they're so well educated. Fourth, they demand good experiences. Yep. By the way, that's where we make money, the business people. Mm-hmm. Think about it. But they demand experiences. Okay, maybe they play with submarines, maybe we play with drones or whatever. They demand sustainable, as I said before, and solid and great experiences. And finally, they are so technology savvy that, of course, that is understandable, and that's why I put it last. It has never been done before. So they care about technology. On this, let's say, on this little phone, their whole life goes through this. Yeah. Their happiness, their everything goes through that. It's not just a mobile phone, it's a lifestyle management tool for them. So there are many great opportunities to reduce environmental impact and in the long term, help promote the industry as a sustainable and environmentally friendly industry. So what I'm saying is thank God for you. Thank God for millennials, because as new generations always had, you have the drive, my friend, the desire and the passion. This is it. The thing is, are we, the previous, I belong to another generation, right? I'm a baby boomer. Are we going to help and support them? So I'm going to turn around this little discussion question. You say how millennials influence the green and blue change. Okay, that's A. There is also point B that I want to say to you. And that is, what can we, all of us, do to help them? Mm-hmm. There is a great responsibility because we are all made to always trying to become better and better and better. Let's all become what we should have been. That is where the future of our industry lies, in our actions. Mm-hmm. Thank you. I hope you agree with me. I believe you do.
This is great. This is great. So where did your interest about this millennial, the shift, where did it start?
Well, when managers here in the marinas, in shipping industry especially, they would give an order to the millennial and the order was not done, was not carried away. And they will say, I mean, I'll order you, I'll punish you, you lose money. That's not the way to lead. So that's when it all started. I have seen managers smoking a cigarette, saying to sailors, you're not allowed to sail, I will sail because I'm the manager, not on board, on companies. And I said, my God, what is this? So many indicators I had, it was like slapping me in the face. And I said to myself, my God, I have to do something. And then I started about 20 years ago, training marinas in order to become, as Oscar says, a beautiful place. Because I have a lot of experience from training hotels and all that, to train marinas to be like a very hospitable place and nice and service industry and all that. And that's where it all started. And being, of course, in love with ships and born in an island and being a naval activist and all that, it was very close to my heart. But I actually do that for every company who wants to move forward.
Amazing. So do you see right now the situation where all marinas, pretty much every marina activities is kind of on hold? They have an opportunity to initiate new protocols, new sustainable initiatives.
Absolutely. They are
How can we empower them to do that?
Everybody is reading right and left agendas. Everybody is now keeping busy. That's good. because in the past they were just asleep. Well, asleep in one way. In everything else, they were working very, very hard. But now they have been kind of forced to look into another future, the green future, the blue, as Greta says. So now there is not panic, but there is a lot of motion. And people say, yes, okay, let's do it, let's move forward. And there is a lot of help from millennials who influence the previous generations, whether being their parents, grandparents, or millennials themselves, CEOs and running companies like yourself, who actually come across as, who can do it? We just need you to back us up, and we'll do it. So I'm very optimistic that because what's happening, and because I lived a little longer on this earth than some of you, that things will turn around. They have to turn around, and we're all here to help.
So how can, so we're talking about millennials over here, and we say that the marina industry, the yacht industry is fairly traditional.
Yes.
When do you see there's going to be a shift where millennials are going to take the initiative? Do you see that happening in the near future?
Oh, yes, absolutely. But let me tell you, there are three segments. The first segment is a segment that these people are so far ahead, they're just laughing at us talking about this. They say, what are you talking about? You're losers, you sleep, you live in the dark ages. So this segment is small, but they are very, very ahead. And this is great. Everybody needs to go there. The third segment below, they're very resistant to everything, and they're just waiting to see economic benefits, whatever, if they've been forced by the state and all that. And that is a big segment that's getting less and less. And the middle segment, it's like a bell-shaped curve, right? And the middle section, which is the majority of people I train, they say, persuade me, talk me into it. So if we have good arguments, they are open, they change slowly. So that's why I cannot give you a date. I believe everybody that gives dates could be proved wrong, because what's going to happen, there is a transition period. Now, sometimes this transition, I see it's been accelerated by events that's happening. Everybody is now aware that, you know, if we shake hands, I shouldn't put my finger on my nose or whatever. So sometimes good mentalities are accelerated. So we're going to see some companies moving to the first category very quickly. Some others are still behind, unfortunately. So it's three segments in three different speeds. It's just the first one. They're so far out, and it's a pleasure to be with them, sail with them, talk with them. They really care. And you know, I can see they don't, when we're sailing, they don't even drop a tiny little thing into the sea. While the third generation, I talk to you, the older, they will throw paper and they say, oh, well, it's degradable, it's disposable, whatever. So 3 segments, different speeds.
So first of all, I agree with that completely. And I also believe that the companies that don't make that shift, the company number 3 is going to be left behind. And they're going to, you know, especially the millennials are going to desert the support to those companies. And millennials really like a customer-centric, as you said, the experience. And one of the things that I know that you promote especially is the experience at the marina, how every person who comes to the marina, every person who works at the marina needs to be recognized and appreciated. Can you elaborate more on that?
Yes, there are so many things that can happen on a marina, and there is so much, if you allow me to say, wealth to be generated because people offer to the millennials what they need and demand in the marina. If you take a trip down at Dubai Marina, you will see various activities. You will see people flying over, you know, with a line. You will see things happening that you have to pay, and it's full of alive. The marina comes alive, and people are willing to pay for entertainment, for good food, for games. You can see in various marinas there are some little submarines that they do ports. There are activities, sea activities, and you should all be initiated at the marina. But it's a mind shift, it's a mentality, by the way, that third generation we talked about, the third segment we talked about, unfortunately, I don't want you to cut this off the interview, but unfortunately, they support, they raise the up and down governments. They're very powerful.
Very powerful lobbies. Yeah.
Yes. And
tobacco companies and oil and
So unless in our arguments we approach them with true logic and justification, otherwise they've learned to assess things in a different way. So unless we understand their logic, we cannot promote the agenda. But anyway, that's another issue. The thing is, I'm passionate about the experiences that we can offer because, and of course, it's implied, we didn't say though, but let's say they have to be green and blue experiences. They cannot pollute the sea anymore, of course, it's implied.
So how do you spoke about the governments, still receiving funding from the third sectors. What can we as future leaders, industry leaders, what can we do to promote a more green and sustainable agenda? Like, hand them on their table, say, here, this is why it's so important for us, for future generations. And you mentioned Greta and her speech at the UN, and she was Time Magazine Person of the Year. What else can we do?
Well, okay, now you're getting into my business, because everybody is using the logic you just mentioned to put on a table something extremely logical, expecting others will take it. Well, no, my friend, if you get involved in sales, you will realize there is a big difference between push and pull. So what we must do, one of my seminars is called How to Manage Your Boss. So what we must do is present it to them with arguments for and against for each case and let them decide. And if they don't decide the right thing, it's not their fault, it's our fault. Because we don't know how to make a proposal. We don't know how to justify the good. So it's our fault, not their fault. So I wish I could train Greta on how to talk and promote her agenda. Because she's just saying it, and people are saying, oh, yes, yes, and then they do nothing, the majority. But in order to initiate here, that's called put your hand in your pocket and give money. That's sales. In order to initiate action, she has to do it in a way that the other people will say, yes, I want this. Right now, they say, no, you, my friend, want this. So go on, do it. I have another agenda. So you are too young to come to my office and say to me, I have an idea. I'll say, oh, I will listen to it, but old people are not persuaded like that. The old mentality, the closed mindset, as I said before, they need a different way. Well, I'll tell you what, why don't I make a seminar and explain how to do this? Because this is what I do. Let's do this on a webinar. It will be extremely interesting for some people to learn how to promote their ideas. Yeah.
So this is actually kind of what I do with my boss, is that I present an idea in a way where I make it seem that he thought of it. And then he tells me about it. He gets all excited about it.
Yes, exactly. You see, you are the person that will make the difference. We need more people with this mentality. And of course, if your idea, pay attention now, was not good in the first place, your boss would have not accepted it. The reason why he accepted it is because it's a good idea. But it's a shame to have a good idea and people not accept it because they don't know how to promote it, how to propose, how to put it forward.
So where do you see the future of the maritime industry after post-COVID-19?
Okay.
The marinas are going to open up. What then?
Yes. Well, let me tell you. If you look at Earth from space, it can answer your question. This is a blue planet where the biggest percentage on this planet is sea, water. I mean, it's so damn obvious that that's where we should concentrate because it is our livelihood, our future, and marinas, ports all over the world, shipping companies all over the world, they are starting to realize. So one indicator that it's helping this is that the old generation is moving away. The new people like your good self are coming in. So it's happening. So I see it happening, but don't expect me to give you dates, because I told you of the 3 segments. One segment is already there. Another will take a lot of effort, the bottom one, and the middle one, we have to do it. It's up to us to make the date come closer. But I see it happening. I suggest for people to go and see, if they write on YouTube Mother Nature, and what's that girl that played with Richard Gere, the movie?
Julia Roberts.
Julia Roberts. Yeah, if they say Julia Roberts and Mother Nature, and they will see a short movie about Mother Nature, that will give them goose pimples. Mm-hmm. That is a slap in the face. And people will, I believe they will accelerate their thinking. But in order to get success and action and things happening, you have to know how to present to them and make them embrace it as their own idea. And as Simon Sinek says, the why plays a very important role, but it has to become their why, not just mine and yours.
That's great. Do you know about our yellow flag initiative? We're promoting a yellow flag for sailing.
Yes, I have read, and I've been bombarded by so many initiatives. I'm so pleased. So all these are indicators that things will maybe move in a faster speed. I don't know of all the agendas, but I can see it moving in a way that has never been moved before.
I agree. Yeah, so many positive impact right now. There's you go on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. There's so many positive things going on. I think that this is one of the most.
I was a few months ago in Cluj in Romania, and I was talking to HR directors, and I said to them, whenever in your office there is a pile of data, of reports, then that is called for AI, artificial intelligence. Whenever there is a lot of data, there is call for AI. Now, if our algorithms are written by millennials, I believe AI was going to turn around and say, hello, people, what are you doing? Wake up. So in a way, because I believe AI will be assisting future governments, not direct, assisting, in a way, technology is also going to give us a push, because it's so damn obvious. I don't know, before you were born, there was a movie called War Games. And in that movie, it was a very old movie, but at the end, please try to see it if you can, War Games. Okay. That the AI computer decided there is no point making a war, because there is no point if on this side there are 20 million and this side there are 30 million. The 20 million does not win, because they have less million dead people. So AI, it was like imagination at that time, came up, yes, they say, I'm not going to start a war. And this computer was ordered by the general and the president to start the war, tricked into believing it. But it says, no, I'm not going to start. And this is exactly what AI should be about. I believe you know my PhD is on robotics. And back on those ages, in the 80s, we used to laugh at Asimov's 3 laws of robotics. Well, I believe now that if they are not incorporated into every AI machine and computer, then we have no future as a planet.
So what's the future for Yanni? What do you plan on doing next?
Well, many years ago, I watched on stage Desmond Tutu. He was very, very old, and he was supported by 2 nurses. He got up on the stage and he talked to us in Atlanta, United States, about how to never lose faith and never feel insecure and always be forward and all that. And I promised to myself, as long as I have a voice, people might have to carry me on stage, but I will always be talking and shouting about what we just talked about, Shlomi, right now. This is me. This is where I live.
Amazing. Thank you so much. This has been great, Yanni.
Thank you, Shlomi.
I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Take care and all the best.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right. Bye, Yanni.